hold back the flow of the Holy Spirit, people that are trying to hold back the development of the church spiritually. The Holy Spirit will not allow itself to be constrained. The Holy Spirit will not allow itself to be constrained spiritually. The Holy Spirit is the only restraining force within the earth today, within the world today, that will not allow itself to be constrained. It will not allow itself to be held back. At all costs, at any costs. I don't want to think about the situation if the Holy Spirit was taken out. If the Holy Spirit was taken out of the earth today, I don't want to think about the consequences. If we see what's going on right now on television and on the news. Shootings, Columbine shootings, and shootings in cinemas, and people being killed, massacres. America is raising a generation of killers. The United States, is raising a generation of killers, of murderers amongst its young people, amongst its young adults. It's raising a generation of killers, and I don't want to think about the consequences if the Holy Spirit, the only last restraining force within the earth today, the one and only restraining force in the earth today, what would happen if the Holy Spirit was taken out of here? With what we're seeing going on television and what we are seeing going on in the news. The United States is raising little rebellious little killers. Because they're not taught from a young age to constrain themselves. It's freedom for all. Do as you please. The Holy Spirit will not allow itself to be restrained, restraining force of the Spirit, a holding back. And that is why we are seeing this stirring occurring, the stirring that's taking place right now, a stirring, undergirding, a lamenting, a stirring under the earth, very much like a volcanic eruption, a spiritual eruption, a spiritual awakening, a spiritual eruption. God's getting ready to move by His Holy Spirit. He's getting to remove. For too long, the Spirit has been restrained by the leaders. It's the leaders that are accountable. The leaders will be held accountable for this restraining force within the church. We see in the book of Genesis, the very work of the Holy Spirit in the creation as He moved across the face of the waters, as He moved across the face of the earth. Moving, very hand of God extended, very hand of God extended across the face of the waters, across the face of the earth. And that very same restraining force, that very same restraining Holy Spirit at work today across the face of the earth. But a restraining of man, a stiff-necked and a rebellious generation of leaders, of pastors. And I'm telling you people today, you pastors and you leaders that are watching, not necessarily here, but you out there that are restraining the work of the Holy Spirit, that are restraining the work of God within the church today because of your insecurities and your jealousies, and you need to control, and the need to control your little nests. God is going to bypass you. God is going to bypass the system. He's going to bypass you. He's going to bypass the system because God will not allow His Holy Spirit to be restrained within the earth. We are seeing this taking place in numerous areas. We are seeing this, a very overspilling of this rising up revolution, if you want to call it that, within the church. The very rising up of this revolution, if you want to call it that, within the church. being echoed, being resounded in different parts of the earth. A very echoing, a very resounding of the things of the Spirit. After all, it's the very same Holy Spirit that we serve. And what we see happening there, we see echoing there,